Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Parable of Design podcast. I'm your host, Daria, and I'm super excited to be chatting with you today. Got a lot of random topics to talk about. I am a person that is chronically online, so there's just a lot of stuff that I've just kind of gathered that I've been seeing from the art, design, and I guess the film world as well. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm smiling because I feel like it's been a minute and I just, life is good and I'm just so excited. This podcast really is something that brings me joy. So let's jump right in. So yeah, I know I love a cue card in my phone. And first thing I'm gonna talk about is the Him movie. So I'm talking about that first because it is freshly on my brain. I literally saw it today. And basically, spoiler alert, I'm gonna just kind of expound upon it a little bit. If you don't want to hear this, go ahead and fast forward. I'm going to just say main character and I'm going to say Marlon Wayans. I do not remember their names. But the premise of the movie is that a guy is a really good football player and he is going through some trials to become the new star quarterback of this fictional football team, professional football team called the Saviors. So Marlon Wayans plays the present star quarterback, and he's like prepping the new guy to come in. And it's shot very beautifully. I guess it's like maybe out in Nevada, Arizona, somewhere, desert sort of terrain, really beautiful angles, all the different, today athletic gear and trainers and language and stuff. I really enjoyed it, for the most part. I had heard my husband was letting me know that it didn't get the best reviews. I think it got like 33% on Rotten Tomatoes, all sorts of stuff. People just saying that they didn't enjoy it. I'm personally the type of girly who doesn't read reviews, okay, until after, and doesn't sometimes I'll watch a trailer, sometimes I won't. I did watch the trailer for this, but I watched it a very long time ago. So I had really been anticipating going to see this. So we saw it today. And yeah, I don't know. I think I keep saying I don't know, but I think there was the team name is the Saviors. There was a ton of like references and symbolism to Jesus and the theme of sacrifice. So sacrifice through the, things you decided to do to become a quarterback, sacrifice in terms of the people you leave behind to like just sacrifice in all areas of, their lives. And, at this point, I've freshly seen the movie and a part of me kind of feels like what the movie could have done without is like the horror aspect of it. And maybe it should have just been like a very mysterious, like thriller type movie, one of those movies that are very creepy, eerie, a lot of stuff happening that you don't really understand, but it's like building this world so you can um just be in it for this 2 hours or hour and 30 minutes, however long the movie is, and just kind of walk away feeling like, that was really interesting, and kind of just have at it and have your own thoughts about what certain things could mean, what certain people could mean. But I think for me, is I don't shy away from gore or anything like that. I'm more of a thriller type movie lover, but knowing this was a horror film, I knew that that was going to come within it. But I just think like at a certain point, it was just a lot of killings, and perhaps those killings and all of their blood and bodies and all that had to do with sacrifice. And that was his sacrifice that he had to do to get the outcome that he wanted. And by him, I mean the guy, not Marlon Wayans, but the main character who's on his way to becoming the star quarterback. So it was a really interesting movie. I would love to see more movies by the people who wrote it, the person who wrote it and the director, just because it was shot beautifully. And I do think that they have something, going for themselves. I don't know. I haven't read any reviews yet to compare my thoughts and possibly see a person articulate it better than what I'm doing at this point. But I'm like, I don't know. That's just, I don't know. It needed something. And because it definitely built a world. We definitely get to know the main character. We get to know Marlon Wayans. We see that there's a lot of sacrifice. Um, and it's literally based around that, like different days. I think he's up there for like a week. So every different segments of the movie are different things that he has to go through. 7 is also, a number. I think 7 is like the number of completion, if I'm not mistaken, like 7 days a week. Uh, 7 pops up a lot. So I don't know. There's a lot into it. And I think they did a really good job of incorporating all of that. But I don't know. It was just something. And maybe that's just what the movie is. Perhaps the thing that I'm searching for is not supposed to exist. But I still think it's worth going to see. I think it's a really, beautiful movie. Um, Definitely did not shy away from the budget in that aspect. Not that they shied away from the budget at all, but just saying like, yeah, they ate with that. So yeah, go check it out. So the next thing on my list that I have to talk about is the Cracker Barrel logo. So I'm sure y'all have heard of that because I didn't have people talking about it and tweeting and TikToking about it, and I ain't never seen say anything about a logo before. And so basically, if you're not familiar with Cracker Barrel, as a Southerner, I definitely am. I think they're all over the U.S., but I know they're definitely in the Southern states. It's a restaurant. It kind of gives like old fashioned tin roof building vibes. Lots of like antiques and things on the walls and pictures of, all sorts of random things. But everything is kind of old fashioned, and they recently debuted their new logo rebrand. And basically, the colors are the same. So it's the same like mustard, yellow, and brown, but they did not keep any of the elements from the original logo. And I really do not understand why companies do that. I know you want a fresher take on said, logo or brand or whatever, but a lot of those elements are what makes you unique. What helps you stand out, what makes you you, and they've had the same logo for so long. I do feel like there was an older version of the logo that they rebranded. Like they kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but just a stark difference. And consumers usually do not resonate well with things like that. They've even gone so far to remodel or create new restaurants that don't have that same sort of tin roof, old fashioned country restaurant vibe that each of the, Cracker Barrel locations have. So y'all should go check it out. Per usual, we'll always put a picture of what I'm talking about so y'all can see it. So it'll most likely appear over my shoulder. Sorry if you're listening and not watching. Check me out on YouTube so you can see the things as I'm speaking about it. But yeah, so very interesting. I love to hear people talk about it because I feel like as a designer who has designed many logos and worked on teams where logos had to be created and working with stakeholders and hearing their opinions, there's a lot that goes into that. And I think the most important part of that is if it resonates with the consumer or not. You can think it is the most quirky, clever, beautifully designed, whatever. But if it doesn't resonate with the consumer, it does not matter. So I guess that's a big lesson on that. The next logo that I want to talk about is the MSNBC logo. So I believe that they're doing I guess it's a rebrand, but they're changing their name as well. So the new name of it is MS Now. And speaking of stark changes, looks totally different. So I can kind of set the scene and describe it to you. The original MSNBC logo is like black, sans serif, very standard, but still like a nice font. And then they have like the colorful peacock icon next to it. Now it's like blue, and it has a sans serif font as well, but it's not the same one that they had previously. And then they have the audacity at the bottom to have, so it's like MS Now, and then at the bottom they have words that go along with what they'll be offering, and it's really interesting. And I'm like, it is absolutely, it looks totally different. Like it looks like they have a new owner, new company, new employees, new everything. They're like we're not just rebranding. We have turned an entire new leaf. We are something completely different. Don't even address the old us. So I don't think it has changed yet. The last time I checked, when I was like doing my research and compiling all this stuff, it was something that was going to happen later on in the year. This may be later on in the year, but I would feel like later on would be like November, December, October-ish. But check it out. I'm interested to see the entire slate of what the new brand will look like, just because sometimes I feel like it's easier to see the new vision when you can see what it looks like, for an app, when you can see what it'll look like for a website, when you can see what it will look like for news segments and things like that. Because sometimes just a logo doesn't do it, which you would feel like it would, but you got to see these things in action. And that goes for Cracker Barrel as well. But I think people are just like, absolutely not. We want the other one with that man and that barrel. And look, I don't blame them. Do what the consumer wants, okay? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And last but not least, while I'm on the topic of logos, I wanted to talk about a logo, a new brand, just something that I feel they've done a really good job of making it stand out, and it's the Better Goods logo and brand at Walmart. So I don't think it's replacing like their generic foods. I think it's something in addition to that they have debuted in all of their stores, and it is gorgeous. It's I feel like I've said sans serif 1,000 times, but it is a sans serif font. And it's really pretty. It's like fun to me as a consumer. It gives me the vibe that they use really good ingredients, that they, are marketing to people who are hip, who have, an expansive palate, who, don't just want to eat a normal pizza. We want to eat like a truffle pizza, or we, want to eat, maybe we don't want just strawberry in our pastries. We want fig and passion fruit and things like that. And it does a good job of doing that. And as a person who sometimes go to Walmart, it definitely stands out on the shelves, on the aisles. Their packaging is very colorful. They did not shy away from that at all. And the food looks like it's really good quality. I haven't heard anything bad about it. I personally haven't tried any of the food, but it looks great. And I think that they did a really good job of having a very colorful brand, having a logo that stands out, having packaging that stands out, and just having something that I feel that really resonates with the consumer, because a lot of people have really been like, yeah, this looks great and the food tastes great. And it's also not a very limited line either. Like wherever you go, grocery wise, I feel like they have a Better Goods version of something. So frozen foods, dairy, plant-based, coffees, jams, jellies, you name it. They have something that's a part of the Better Goods line, and I love it. I feel like, it's affordable, but it's also, nice, and it's, very interesting types of foods and things that aren't the normal things that you would possibly get at the grocery store. So yeah, they're really eating with that, and I would definitely say it's a 10 out of 10. So yeah, it's Better Goods. It's at Walmart. I know people got feelings about Walmart. I get it, child, but go check it out or go Google it. And speaking of slates, like I was talking about for the MS Now, I was able to see it and, be able to see multiple packages, see how their brand is going to look and all that. And it's really gorgeous. So definitely a good job on doing that. Next thing I want to talk about is Instagram's new font called Rosalia. Don't know how to pronounce it. I think it was a font made in collaboration with another content creator. With another content creator. Got a lot of hate. It's a handwritten font, okay? Add it to your Instagram stories. I think you can add it to your reels, if I'm not mistaken. I know you can add it to your Instagram stories. Whatever. It just spice it up. Scroll on past it if you don't like it. I'm not really a big critic when it comes to things like that. I did see it and it did, I was like, oh, this is a new font. But Instagram's always updating stuff, so I don't know. I think it's based off of this person's handwriting, so of course it's not going to be perfect or like some of the other fonts that they have on there that are more standard. Still exciting, but more legible. I think legibility was one of the main things that I saw that people were talking about, how it wasn't legible. But I'm like, okay, don't be typing a paragraph. Okay, some things are just good for being like OOTD. Okay. Or, airplane mode. Something cute, just something simple. Don't be trying to write a love story to somebody in this font because that's not the fun part. But I say this, I was definitely seeing, as a person who interacts with Instagram and has followers and things like that, some of my followers saying like they didn't like it, take it off, da 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 da. And then I had other followers, if not more, the same amount or more, saying and using it, saying they liked it and using it in their content. So you just never know. Different strokes for different folks. If you don't like it, don't use it. But definitely go check it out. I think Instagram's stories and reels are very great integrated things that they have within the app that are free for you to customize and make your reels and stuff look even better. So check that out. Another thing in these wild art and design or interior design in this case is this thing called the Cloudland controversy. So the first time I saw anything on this was on TikTok. And basically there's this content creator named Studio Mucci. I've been familiar with her for a very long time, and she just has a nice following on Instagram, but her whole aesthetic is like color, like beautiful braids, beautiful outfits, her home interior colorful, beautiful. That's her thing. Like you could definitely see it and be like, yeah, this is all you, because everybody can't do that. So definitely she gets her 10s for that. But the controversy comes from her aesthetic, her home that I think she got evicted out of, versus Lisa Frank creating this like short-term rental in the building right across from where she got evicted from, and it looking very similar to where she lived and the aesthetic that she had in her apartment. And it's just a whole thing. Y'all should go check it out. She talks about, makes the comparisons and, her layout versus this Lisa Frank, in short-term rental layout, and the color she used versus the colors they used, the furniture. It really gets deep. It really gets in depth, and it's even more to it. But it's something that I think really resonates with me because that happens a lot when it comes to creators, especially in the age of social media, where people are just taking, okay, not asking, not wanting to collab, not saying, hey, can you do this for me for a fee, but just straight up being inspired, seeing something they like and taking it, especially when it comes to smaller creators and bigger brands. They feel like those smaller creators don't have the necessary visibility. They can just get away with it. And I'm here for every single creative person calling them out, regardless of how big, small, whatever they are. Like, yeah, this is my work. You use it, pay up. So on top of this, like Cloudland controversy, was this creator, and I put all the info over here, who illustrator, creating illustrations, very unique illustration style. This bigger brand just outright took the illustration and put it on, like, I think one of their shirts or something. Like, why would you do that? That's crazy. So it's crazy. And I'm here for all the people standing up for themselves when it comes to people taking, like, just collaborate or just pay. How about that? How about we pay? Okay. And the last thing I want to talk about is a show. So it's called Damascus, and it's a show on Tubi. It's like a really modern, like black show about this black guy who's dating and also going through therapy, and his therapist is utilizing this like technology that allows him to have these like scenarios that happen in his brain that help him have, certain epiphanies about his life so he can get through the problems he's having. But it's really cool. They got a lot of like fictional and maybe not fictional technology that they use within the show. I like the way that it's shot. It has a lot of really cool effects to it. And I like that it's a black cast, to be honest, so it's really, really neat. I would say go check it out on Tubi if you are familiar with Tubi. Tubi is cool. It's free. I think if you make a login, you could like save stuff versus just kind of watching and then having to start it over if you watching a movie and then you got to go somewhere and you come back or whatever. But it's cool. Another thing I'll say about Tubi, outside of that show being really good, and I say this, the show is so good that I didn't have to stop watching it. Like, I'm probably about to like go chill out after I record this podcast and watch an episode, but it's so good that I found myself not wanting to watch too much of it, because when I find something good, I binge it, and then I'm like, dang, what I'm gonna do with myself now? So it's real good. But the thing I like about Tubi, and I may not talk about this a lot, but I think about it every time I get on there, is the fact that I've heard a lot of things about Tubi. Low budget movies on there, ratchet movies on there, crazy, weird, like who wrote this type of movies on there. And I just want to commend all the creators who create films. I ain't never wrote no film. I ain't never wrote no show or nothing, because I feel like people forget that a large part of being a creative is experimenting and also having the courage to put yourself out there. So I'm like, so what if these movies aren't perfect? So much if they don't fit the aesthetic or the vibe that you're familiar with, but these people are creating, they're having fun, they're expressing themselves, they're connecting with other people in their world, they're, showing what's important to them and what matters to them. And I'm like, if you don't like it, move on and watch something else. Which, if you don't like it, move on. Focus on yourself. Is should be on shirts, should be on flags, because I feel like America's really struggling with that right now. And I won't touch on that, but I think if people learn to not like something and just move on and mind their business, we wouldn't be in the state that we're in right now. So, yeah. So, anyway, go check out Damascus. Go watch him. Look up some stuff about that Cloudland controversy. Tell me what you think about the MS Now logo or the Cracker Barrel logo or Better Goods, because Better Goods is gorgeous. MS Now, stark change. They said we are changing, and Cracker Barrel, they then went back. They said, no, we not changing it, which is hilarious. So many interesting things happening. I love it, to be honest, because I mean, it's exciting, and it's like these are real life things happening in real time where people are, giving their feedback, talking about how they feel, the whole nine, and it's related to art and design. So this episode has been good. I have so many things in store. I can't wait until, y'all see who my next guests are going to be and my next topics and things like this. Speaking of courage and putting myself out there, that's exactly what this podcast is for me. So each and every time I record, I have such a good time, and it's such a great way for me to connect with people that, all over, and express how I feel and talk about it and, relate to people, learn about their stories and everything. So got a big mural coming up that I'm super excited about. About to start working on that. I have some other really, really exciting things that are happening as well, and I'm just so excited and so blessed. So thank you all for listening, and please keep tuning in to the Parable of Design podcast. If you haven't done it already, please go like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts, and if somehow you listen to it and it ain't on there, let me know. Send me a DM or something, and I'll make sure to get it uploaded on there as well. But thank you all. Love y'all. And bye.